Good morning. Welcome to All Souls. It's a joy to be with you here in the sanctuary and from wherever you are joining us via live stream. We are a welcoming and inclusive community of members and friends. My name is Gretchen Joy Ingwerson, name change, pronouns she, her, and I'm the spiritual care and membership manager here at All Souls. Joining me in the chancel today is Reverend Daniel Lawlor, the senior minister of UU Congregation in the Hudson Valley and the Unitarian Church of Staten Island. We are so glad you're here with us today, Reverend Daniel. If you are new or perhaps come in frequently and are feeling open to it, would you raise your hand? Yeah, bravery. For members and friends of All Souls, take a look around and welcome our newcomers to Coffee Hour. We would love to know more about you newcomers. There's a card in the pew in front of you. Please fill out this card. Feel free to bring it to me, or you can leave it in the vestibule box. Through the summer and until September 6th, there'll be a newcomer table during Coffee Hour every Sunday downstairs in Reedy. We welcome those of you who are new or interested in learning more about All Souls. Join me at our newcomer table. I'd love to get to know you. A reminder that we have nursery and preschool care for children ages 6 months to 5 years downstairs in the Forest Church Gallery. Please connect with an usher in the vestibule if you need assistance finding the Forest Church Gallery. As always, please join us for Coffee Hour after the service today. Coffee Hour is in Reedy Friendship Hall, and please let us know if you need elevator access. I'd love to help you find that. Reedy is 2 flights downstairs. We'd love to stay connected with you during the week. We have events happening online almost every day. If you're not on our mailing list, please let us know at info@allsoulsnyc.org so we can keep you informed about everything that's happening here. Take a deep breath and out. It's Sunday. Breeze is cooling us. Please silence your electronic devices. I invite you to quiet your hearts and minds as we prepare to light our chalice.
It is so good to be here today. It's so good to be back. I love coming in the summer to be with this congregation. I send greetings from the Unitarian Universalist congregation of the Hudson Valley in Croton-on-Hudson and the Unitarian Church of Staten Island, which is an amazing community and one of your peers here in New York City. Reverend Egbert Ethelred Brown, who was the founder of the Harlem Unitarian Church, often would speak of Unitarianism as a place of mission, forum, and temple, a place where we gather for worship, a place where we gather out into the world after we're galvanized by those experiences, and a place of dialogue to imagine what do we need as people to grow and heal and transform. So in that spirit of mission, temple, and forum, we unite as one people in this common sanctuary today, and when we light the chalice, know that all around the world, from Manila to London to St. Louis to San Francisco, there are Unitarian and Universalist communities gathering together, lighting chalices, imagining who we are called to be in the tumultuous times that we live. Times that we can show up for one another despite all the smoke and despite all the challenges we encounter. So let us light our chalice with hope this morning. It is the tradition of this congregation to join in unison to say the bond of union. Would you join me? In the freedom of the truth and in the spirit of love, we unite for the worship of God and the service of all.
Come all that
You may be seated. Our responsive reading today is number 536, Morning Poem by Mary Oliver. I invite you to read with me the lines in bold. Every morning the world is created under the orange sticks of the sun and the heaped ashes of the night turned into the leaves again, and fasten themselves to the high branches. In the ponds appear like black cloth on which are painted islands of summer lilies. It is with your nature to be happy. You will swim along the way. And if your spirit carries within it the thorn that is heavier than lead, if it's all you can do to keep on trudging, there's still somewhere deep within you a bee shouting, and the earth is exactly what it wanted. Each pond with its blazing lilies is a prayer heard and answered lavishly every morning. Whether or not you have dared to be happy, whether or not you have ever dared to pray. Now please rise in body or in spirit and join me in singing hymn number 140, Hail the Glorious Golden City.
Thank you so much. That hymn was written by Felix Adler, founder of the ethical culture movement, and famous for the admonition that we should all move by deed, not creed. Would you join in a responsive reading? This is called This Clay Jug by the Muslim Sufi teacher Kabir. Inside this clay jug, there are canyons and pine mountains, and the maker of canyons and pine mountains. The acid that tests gold is there, and the one who judges jewels. If you want the truth, I will tell you the truth.
Usłyszim angelov, my uwidzim co nieba w almazach. My uwidzim, как все земное, все наши страдания, которых милосердий, которое наполни собою весь мир. И наша жизнь станет тихою, нежною, сладкою, как ласка. Я верую, верую, мы отдохнем, мы отдохнем.
We shall hear the angel's song, we shall see the whole heaven shining like diamonds. Before our prayer today, I want to offer words from the late beloved Reverend Jim Covington, who for many years was Minister Emeritus at the Unitarian Universalist congregation of the Hudson Valley, and also was introduced to Unitarian Universalism at this very congregation. Reverend Covington once wrote, "When things are falling apart, we need to express our faith that death and destruction will not have the final word. When times are bad, we may have little evidence that our faith is well-founded. Sometimes we do not have the courage to believe it ourselves. In other words, despite ample evidence of life's brokenness, And despite a flood of feeling that all may be lost, we choose, if only for a moment, to live as if the world is whole and healthy. We embrace what we can find of the truth and cherish what we can see of beauty and respond with what we know of love. I do not suggest we give up the fight against forces that injure and destroy, only that we remember to give the values we are fighting for a place in our lives. No matter how inconsequential our everyday actions may be to us, they matter to someone, somewhere, somehow. It matters whether we smile, or buy this product, or support that policy, or agree, or disagree, or call, or write, or help, or hope, or love, or forgive. Everything matters. Spirit of life and love, bigger than the universe, smaller than a grain of sand, be with us who gather in person and online today as we seek moments of respite from the suffering in the world. May this time be one where we explore and examine ourselves and find space to heal and to grow. May we be nourished with imagination and the capacity to transform ourselves. It is a difficult time, but there have been so many more. And may we be brave as those before us have been brave. May it be so. And our hymn is a hymn especially beloved at the Unitarian Church of Staten Island. Number 399 in your gray hymnal, Vine and Fig Tree.
And everyone neath a vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And everyone neath a vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And into plowshares turn their swords, nation shall learn war no more. And into plowshares turn their swords, nation shall learn war no more. And everyone neath a vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And everyone neath a vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And into plowshares turn their swords, nations shall learn war no more. And into plowshares turn their swords, nations shall learn war no more.
You may be seated. This community, this living, breathing congregation exists because of care, because of generosity, because of the willingness of each of us to say, this matters, and I want to help it thrive. The offering we give today is one expression of that commitment. It supports the music that moves us, the learning that shapes us, the care that holds us, and the justice work that calls us outward and into the world. So in giving this morning, may we do so in gratitude for what has been, for what is, and for what is still possible. We welcome your gifts in the offering plate or by the QR code in your order of service, or on your screen if you're joining us online. Our offering will now be given and gratefully received.
pieśniu wiej, pieśniu starую, byłby wolою skazywał, jak żywo tam wola woluszka wolnaja, jak zbierala tam sila siluszka silnaja. Как та волюшка разгулялась, как та силушка расходилась, но справушка волюшка, надрала силушка, и над ней другом потешалась, кровью недруга убивалась до свита. Воля вольная, сила сильная.
Let us remember we are in the holy presence of love. Unitarian Universalism is a religious tradition that draws from multiple sources to be grounded in the pursuit of goodness and growth, repair, and renewal. The Reverend Cheryl Walker, a preacher in our tradition from this very congregation, says that across our different emphasis, whether you're in San Francisco or St. Louis or right here in New York City, our congregations are united in seeking a place to do good, to make friends, and to grow our souls. Those three pillars, community, acts of justice and love, and spiritual depth, unite us across our different manifestations and forms. As someone who serves multiple Unitarian Universalist congregations, I know that each expression is unique and dependent on the history of the place that you encounter it. There are stories and elders and experiences that really shape what becomes the living faith in any given context or community. And yet, what I think is healthiest is when our communities allow encounters beyond the walls of our sanctuary, because there is always the perpetual temptation to make an idol of our one Sunday worship experiences, as beautiful and holy and necessary as it is. But Unitarian Universalism is really an everyday practice. We come together, in the words of Lawrence Carter, who is the chaplain at Morehouse College, we come together in worship to work on ourselves, not just for that one experience, but to work on ourselves so that when we go out throughout the days in our everyday lives, we are encountering one another with a greater awareness and possibility for transformation. Your congregation has a unique and bold history, one that I find inspiring and that asks us to become deeper, better versions of ourselves. One of your past ministers, William Lawrence Sullivan, was an Irish Catholic priest from outside Boston who had a crisis of faith and originally became a teacher at the Ethical Culture School and eventually a minister here at this congregation. He is somewhat of my patron saint because he also was the minister of the long commute, and for a long time he served a congregation in Poughkeepsie and was the assistant minister here. So I respect him for his mileage on the trains and for his deep commitment to the faith. That's one story. There are thousands of stories of unique people who had encounters of transformation through this congregation. I can attest that at the Unitarian Universalist congregation of the Hudson Valley, multiple members have had encounters with All Souls prior to their experiences in our beautiful congregation in Westchester. And at the Unitarian Church of Staten Island, there are people who are eager for deep partnership to tackle the challenges that are real and pervasive in this city. And I bring a special gratitude because I know this congregation did a special collection for Trinity Immigration Clinic in Staten Island, which is doing amazing work helping people trying to apply for asylum and get protection during this particularly heinous and cruel moment in immigration policy. What All Souls does has ripples beyond the walls of All Souls. One of the former ministers at the Unitarian congregation of the Hudson Valley, who served that community for 30 years, became a Unitarian Universalist through this congregation. There are ripples of impact that All Souls has in the wider city that I'm not even sure that you're aware of, but I feel like it's my role to remind that the beauty and the power and the hope that is cultivated in this space has ripples far beyond the walls of this sanctuary and beyond the boundaries of this city. We are people who are constantly looking for visions of hope. And whether you are gathering in a small chapel in London, or you're working with a community in Long Island, or you're right here, there are people of goodwill gathering in spaces trying to discern, how do I make friends? How do we do good? And what can help grow our souls in a particularly cruel and violent and awful moment? I don't need to tell you this, but it's worth recalling just in the last few months, all around the world in industrial democracies, there are demagogues and referendums and rallies and people trying to say what's most important is for you to care about your own family and forget about everybody else. And there's a lot of traction that message is getting. And we have to be brave enough to say that's not true. As tempting as it is, we have to care about our families. Not just my own, but other people's families. My neighbor across the street, my neighbor across town who I've never met. If we shift from my to our, I think something in our culture will change. Because one of the temptations of our time is that people think the bad things won't happen to them. A lot of people with power think they're exempted from the cruelties and the evil, irrational behaviors that we see in society that lead to families being broken up and demonized and hurt. We're not the first to grapple with tumultuous times. One of the stories that we heard in our responsive reading, that vision, came from Kabir, who is a Muslim Sufi poet who is revered by Muslims, Hindus, and Sikhs. Because Kabir had an understanding of religion that challenged parochialism and said that what is true is the God who is greater. Think about what Kabir said. Inside this clay jug, there are canyons and pine mountains, and the maker of canyons and pine mountains. All 7 oceans are inside, and hundreds of millions of stars. The acid that tests gold is there, and the one who judges jewels, and the music from strings no one touches, and the source of all water. If you want the truth, I will tell you the truth. Friend, listen, the God whom I love is inside. When I reflect on this passage, I reflect on that the God who Kabir loves does not reside in triumphal processions of imperial grandeur, does not preside in the high courts of oligarchs, does not preside in exclusive events, but in places of open embrace, wide natural vistas, places of skill and craft, places of healing, places beyond human comprehension, places to do good, to make friends, and to grow souls. Places to do good, make friends, and grow souls. Amidst the uncertainties that we encounter, our tradition offers us resources to remind us to grow imagination. Think about flower ceremony. Flower ceremony, which is an annual ritual in many of our congregations, teaches that people of many spiritual beliefs share one common meeting house, one common sanctuary, and together we can live more fully and more together. There are different versions of this ritual, but my favorite is where everyone in a congregation is invited to bring a flower forward. They're displayed on a table, they are blessed, and then they are distributed. And then everyone in the congregation exchanges a flower with one another. So you bring a flower, you receive a flower, and you give a flower as a gift. And some might say, well, that's a little fantastical. You know, that sounds sweet, but that's not what the world is like. Flower ceremony is over 100 years old and comes to us from the Unitarians of Prague. Flower ceremony was created in the 1920s, which was a tumultuous and violent and awful decade by all accounts. And in that context, a group of people in a common sanctuary imagined what will help us have a notion of that greater vista, of the God who lives inside a beautiful vase, of the spirit that is bigger than all of us and connects us in love. And they said, let's create a flower ceremony. And there were people who thought, what is this? Even at the time. But it's persisted throughout decades because it is countercultural. And it reminds us that love is powerful and beautiful and holy and healing. We need to find what brings us together in these moments so that we can heal and support one another to do the work of encounter and transformation in the world. Reverend Sullivan in the 1920s was concerned that Unitarianism was drifting into so many different directions that it lost its center. He once wrote, "Are we drifting into a situation in which the Unitarian Church is 70,000 members who will just give you their 70,000 different conjectures?" He was worried about that. But flower ceremony and other common rituals like the doxology, like lighting the chalice, like having a common meal called coffee hour after service, those are shared experiences that in some ways are the antidote to the temptation of being so diffuse. And Sullivan knew what he was talking about because in the 30s and 20s, many Unitarian and Universalist congregations in New York were closing and did not survive the Depression. He wasn't being a curmudgeon. He was worried that if there wasn't a focus of hope that united these congregations, they would not survive the upheavals of their time. There used to be a Unitarian congregation on 110th Street near St. John the Divine. It's long since closed. There were many others across the city. There used to be 2 Unitarian congregations in Queens. There are none in Queens today. I was at the final ceremony for the Queens congregation. And I've been to many ceremonies, but I've never been to the funeral of an institution. And it was beautiful and well planned, and they gave their assets to many community organizations to continue on the work. But it was sad. I offer these stories because you have a gift here, a tremendous responsibility and possibility to nurture goodness and friendship and growing souls. And when you do it right where you are, perhaps unintentionally, you're creating ripples of possibility across this city and region. You're creating friendships and healing and hope. I'm excited for you. And I'm offering this summer because at a time when there's so much tumult, know that sometimes focusing on what you can achieve in these sacred walls with an eye on what's happening outside will lead to healing and transformation. Remember, Cheryl Walker said the essence of our faith is to do good, make friends, and grow souls. Be well, and have a fantastic year ahead. And we are going to sing a beautiful hymn. This one is "This Is My Song," number 159 in the Gray Hymn Book, a song of a vision of hope and love if there ever was one. This is my song, number 159 in the Gray Hymn Book. It is a tradition of this church to offer this beautiful benediction. As we extinguish the light of our chalice, we carry the fire of commitment and the love of this community with us always. And now in our going, may love bless us and keep us. May the light of love shine upon us and out from within us, and be gracious unto us, and give us peace. For this is the day we are given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Amen.